Well, special counsel Robert Mueller about to issue some findings of his wide-ranging investigation, according to an exclusive report in Bloomberg, which cites two anonymous sources. Quote, Mueller is close to rendering judgment on two of the most explosive aspects of his inquiry, whether there were clear incidents of collusion between Russia and Donald Trump's 2016 campaign, and whether the president took any actions that constitute obstruction of justice. Now, according to those sources, Mueller will wait until after the midterm elections to release his core findings.
You know what bothers me about this? The words rendering judgment. It's not his job.
It's not his job to render judgment.
It's his job to hand down an investigative opinion.
Great point, John.
Investigative opinion, and that's the problem with the special counsel investigation. But let's bring in our good friend, Republican consultant and host of Behind the Curtain, Mr. Jack Berkman. Jack, great to see you.
Guys, welcome. Happy Wednesday. Good to be here.
Happy Wednesday, halfway through the week, Jack. I don't know if you had the same takeaway I did, but I did not like the wording in that Bloomberg piece that Mueller is going to render judgment. That's not the job of an investigator or a special counsel, special prosecutor,
I never quite thought
right?
of it that way. That's a very good encapsulation of the role of the special counsel, the independent counsel. That's exactly what they're supposed to do. They are fact finders. They are supposed to report findings of fact back to the Justice Department. They are not a court of law. They're not a judge or a jury or anything like that. But that's what Mueller has really done from the beginning. I don't know what findings he could possibly have. I mean, they have Flynn and Manafort and Gates on these silly charges of obstruction. They've got Manafort convicted of lobbying violations or tax violations in the Caymans or whatever it ends up being. None of this has anything to do with Russia, collusion, Trump. I have no idea what there is to announce.
Do you think, Jack, do you think that we will hear some leaks, though? That's my concern, is that there will be perhaps even completely erroneous but salacious leaks. I mean, I don't know why we wouldn't hear something like that. They pretty much, this is the way they go, the way they roll. And so if we hear leaks, might it, knowing that a conclusion is coming of some sort, might it hope to affect the midterm elections, knowing that there's this 60-day rule where the FBI and the DOJ agree not to influence elections with reports of investigations like this one. But might they have gone ahead and said, we're going to have it, so that then if there's a leak, it somehow substantiates that leak?
It's a good point.
Oh, Mueller, I mean, our friend Larry Klayman believes that Mueller has committed crimes by leaking strategically throughout, and I agree with him. I think he's leaked all kinds of sensitive grand jury information. He's been a media player from the start. I don't think he can resist the temptation to influence the elections. I think that's a good point. I think that's exactly what you'll see. I mean, the only thing Mueller can really tout that even approaches a success, and I think this whole thing is a disaster. It's a corrupt disaster. I've called Mueller one of the worst people in American judicial history, and I stand by that. But the only thing he could even begin to tout as a success are these dozen or so Russians, people we don't even know exist, who are in Russia and will never come back, that he has charged, and who will be convicted essentially in absentia of meddling, the computer people who meddled in the election. But that's really all Mueller has, and we don't even know if these people exist.
And I just want to note that we're hoping to bring Larry Klayman actually in to join Jack. Larry's having a very minor tech glitch on his side, but hopefully we get that worked out and bring in Larry. But let's talk more about Mueller, Jack. Now, one of the problems that I have with this is the secrecy. There's supposed to be secrecy around an investigation, but the secrecy and all of the, let's just call it, tainted material that led to his being appointed. We now have this situation where Rod Rosenstein allegedly wanted to wear a wire against President Trump, that infamous now New York Times report, going as far, the report said, is to try to invoke the 25th Amendment by recruiting cabinet members to declare Trump unfit for office, mentally unfit. Rosenstein blows it off. Then James Baker, the former lead attorney at the FBI, says, well, Andy McCabe didn't think and Lisa Page didn't think that Rosenstein was kidding around. So basically saying it happened. And Rosenstein was very serious. Yet Rosenstein still has a job. He flies down with the president last week to the law enforcement conference in Florida, flies back up. Mueller hands his report to Rosenstein when it's complete. He doesn't hand it to the media, to the general public, to the White House. It goes to Rosenstein. He decides what to do with it. What's going on here?
Well, you're
There's
looking at
something we don't know, and you've been in the game a long time. What do you think is going on here with Rosenstein?
Oh, and then you add to the mix our friend Bruce Orr, maybe
Right.
the most corrupt at all, and his wife at Fusion GPS and the fraudulent warrants. If you mix all this together, what you have is this terrible concoction. It's the deep state at its very worst. What you have is a runaway Justice Department. You have Rosenstein running his own little show. You have McCabe. You have the two of them probably working together and colluding in every possible bad way. And then you have Mueller, who may be the very worst of all in all of this. I think Trump has very skillfully avoided making the firing of Rosenstein an election issue. I think right after the election, Trump will get rid of Rosenstein. He'll get rid of Sessions. Mueller is running out of runway. I think by the end of the year, this long-running circus comes to an end. And I think Donald Trump will be the winner. I think he has skillfully waited it out. I think he resisted calls to fire Mueller and Rosenstein, and I think that was wise. He kept the focus on the right issues for the election. I think Donald Trump's done a good job.
All righty, let's bring in Larry Klayman. We've got our good friend Larry Klayman, former federal prosecutor and the founder of Freedom Watch. Larry, I don't know how much you could hear of our questions and Jack's answer. Talking about Mueller now, we're hearing reports in Bloomberg, anonymous sources saying Mueller is going to release his findings, or at least some of them, after the midterm elections. Going to try to answer those two big questions. Was there collusion between Russia and the Trump campaign, and did Donald Trump personally try to obstruct justice? My issue is Rosenstein's still on the job, despite Baker, the former FBI attorney, saying, A, he did all those things, wanted to wear a wire on Trump, wanted to invoke the 25th Amendment, and Andrew McCabe and Lisa Page did not think he was joking. Larry, what in the world is going on? Because that report is going to be given to Rosenstein. Does the president know something we don't? Has he gotten in front of this with Rosenstein, or is the White House being played here?
They're being played, and Jack was right. This is a leak. It's an illegal leak by Mueller. He's trying to influence the midterm elections. He's seen all the commentary lately. Where's Robert Mueller? He's been quiet.
Right.
So his prosecutors, such as Andrew Weissman and Zelensky and the others, are leaking this to let people know that the issue's still out there to influence the midterms. They're also doing it because that report, technically speaking, when it comes over to Rosenstein, is confidential. So he wants to create a groundswell with the Democrats to demand that the report be released publicly. And as I've said all along, men and women, is that nothing good is going to be in this report. This is going to be scathing. It's going to really go after the president. It's a prelude after the midterms, if the Democrats take control of the House, to the president's impeachment and then trial in the U.S. Senate. It will grind everything to a halt. And that's the strategy of Mueller and the Democrats to destroy the president and to take down anybody who agrees with him.
But Larry, I don't understand why. Trump's a media consumer. The guy's on Twitter. We know the guy watches certain conservative networks often, night and day, when he has insofar as the president has time to do that. He knows what's going on. He knows how his base feels. He knows what they've tried to do to him. Why do you think Rosenstein is still in his job?
The president is being Machiavellian. He now owns Rosenstein. Rosenstein will be asked to shine the president's shoes. It's not the right thing to do. I disagree with the president keeping him there. You can't keep Brutus as part of the Roman Senate. I mean, the president is being stabbed in the back, and Rosenstein obviously had planned part of that. So, yes, I'd get rid of him, but the president did this because he wants to control Rosenstein. Rosenstein's a career official, even though he's a political appointee now. His career could be ruined if it gets out that he was actually going to wire himself and then seek cabinet approval to remove the president under the 25th Amendment. So the president's been advised, probably by Giuliani and his other establishment lawyers, that it's better to keep the enemy close and to manipulate him and to use him for your own advantage. But that's not the right thing to do. And in the end, Caesar tried the same thing with Brutus. It obviously didn't work.
All righty. I would get a reaction from Jack, but he's just been smiling and nodding his head yes. So I know to Larry's comments, so I know where Jack stands. Jack Berkman, Larry Klayman, always great to see you guys. Thanks.
Guys.
Thank you, guys.
God bless.
God bless you. Coming up, the Connors return to television without the Roseanne. How did the show do in the ratings? We're going to tell you after this. Stay with us.